And going up to the roof of my apartment is a strange door that just like sits like 4 feet off the ground with no way to access it.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Why Yall Working. I'm your co-host, Michael Ogunsanya.
Alairé.
And we have the magnanimous, the illustrious Naomi Winston here with us today. Say what's up.
What's up, y'all? Thank you guys so much for having me. I've been a really big fan of the show.
That means a ton. And so Naomi is a friend to us, new to the show, but a friend to us over the past several years. Creator and founder of the Creative Representation Empire. This is going to be another great episode where we take a step outside of tech and business and finance and stocks, but we focus on art. We focus on the connection and relation people can have with one another. And I can't think of another great artist to have here. It looks like you have some of your work behind you as well. She is a force. So let's start with the first question, Naomi. Why do you work?
I work because of capitalism, but I create because I love it. And so I think it's just nice to be able to survive and like build a legacy for myself financially through the work that I already love doing. Yes, that's my best answer.
It's like the third, right? Third in a row? We get the people work because of capitalism.
I mean, like, she's the first person to actually say it, though. So I do want to touch on that. And why is it capitalism for you? Like, why is it capitalism that drives you? I guess, like, why do you figure that capitalism is the motivation for, I guess, living through the means of you doing something that you love? Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I think it's really beautiful, and I've been doing a lot of interviews with other artists, and we talk about how amazing it is as an African American to be able to make money from something that feeds my soul. And I think from an ancestral point of view, like, it's beautiful to be able to make money through the own creation of my hand and my thoughts and my community. I will say, like, capitalism has its place. And for me, building my company and why I work is obviously because I love the work that I do and I love the communities and the kids that I'm able to collaborate with. But more importantly, I also work because I want to be able to use the money and like the resources that we gain in order to create more opportunities for young Black and brown kids. So yes, I work because of capitalism makes me, but I also work because I love what I do and I want to create easier access.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And so we want to get a little deeper into your inspirations, what inspires you. You talked about, again, from an ancestral standpoint. Again, there's something motivating you. And I feel like a lot of it comes through your history. Just to break it down real quick, 4 years ago, you graduated from Xavier University in Naw. You found your way to Baltimore through and you were able to excel, which we'll get into a bit later in this ecosystem. But what does your upbringing and community mean to you?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town called Thibodaux, Louisiana, about an hour southeast of New Orleans. And everyone in my life has always been a business owner. My sibling owns a business. My dad owns a really successful business. And my mom was a business teacher. So for me, it was never really a thought as to if I was going to start a business, it's when was I going to start it and what was it going to be? And my whole community of Thibodaux, we have a population of maybe 14,000 people, like maybe, questionably. And that community was the perfect place for me to grow up. Everyone fully believed in me and my ability to do anything that I wanted to do. And I think that moving to Baltimore has just completely excelled that by obviously meeting you guys and the amazing community of Black and brown women and founders that have kind of like surrounded me and taken me underneath their wing. Like, community is the foundation of everything that I do in my work and in my life.
Yeah, and it's clear too. I mean, you crossing as well, becoming a member of Zeta Phi Beta. You have a great group of sisters with you, supporting you. Any insight towards why you wanted to cross and join that community, that family?
Yeah, being a Zeta, I always knew I wanted to cross into a sorority when I went into college. And I think it's the instant community that I found when I met the president of that time when I came in as a freshman. And I crossed in fall 2019. Me and my sisters actually turned 5 this year. In the same time, I was actually online while I was doing my first coloring book, which is a very cool experience. And my line sisters have been some of the most beautiful people in my lives. Like, the last 5 years, the friendship, the sisterhood that we have built, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So let's get a little bit deeper into the creative representation empire. Tell us a little bit about, if you want to go a big picture on what the organization does or your day-to-day. Feel free to let us know.
Yeah, so the Creative Representation Empire creates culturally representative educational coloring books, which is a really big fancy way to say that we work in collaborations with communities to create needed resources. So sometimes that looks like meeting with community partners and understanding what they want to provide in their individual communities or where they're seeing that their youth need, and then working with them to pull those either from the internet, pull that from research, and create something that's tangible that looks like the kids that they're actually working with. I like to say that we don't necessarily create coloring books. We create manifestations of community that kids may not otherwise have, because that's the bigger part of what we do is we try to take the loneliness out of childhood. And that's a huge reason that we use physical images or images of real people rather than drawing cartoon characters. A day-to-day looks very vastly different depending on what we're working on or what projects. We currently have 2 pilots that are going on right now, including a program and curriculum pilot. And then I'm also working on an immersive art exhibit, which takes up a lot of my time right now, as well as getting our books into bookstores and schools across the country. So as you can imagine, that takes up a good bit of time. And then also like mentoring and doing pitch coaching for young entrepreneurs on the side. Yeah,
and let's talk a little bit about the product, because again, in a month you have your second annual event exhibition. It's going to be something amazing. I know because I was there last year, and after going to your event, I knew I wanted to take, I think it was like 50 of those coloring books back home to Nigeria for a charity that I gave to a motherless baby home. Hopefully we can get some of the footage and put it in here. But you're seeing doctors, you're seeing lawyers, you're seeing members of Native American tribes. Let's just get down to the detail of what people experience, what people see when they flip through the pages.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful. It's always really hard to like encompass the entire collection because we have 12 different books. Out of the 12 different books, there are probably about 1,000 images curated from people from all across the world. People who like willingly submit images to be a part of something. When I first started creating the first coloring book, it's the biggest coloring book, and that's the one that turns 5 this year. So Black Women Are the Future was inspired by seeing my little cousin experiencing colorism for the first time and wanting to help her build community and build up her self-esteem. Because when she was experiencing colorism, she was 7 years old. But it took me being 18 and going to college at my HBCU for me to unlearn a lot of the colorism that I went through as a child. And so I made the decision there when she said that I wasn't going to let her wait 11 years to figure out how to love herself. And so Black women from my university submitted pictures and affirmations, and the prompt that I gave them was, what would you have liked to hear as a young Black girl growing up? And then that kind of really set the precedent for the work that we do now. So we have coloring books for Black women, Black men, Black history, financial literacy. And one book that I really, really love that I always love to mention when I do interviews in Baltimore is my coloring book, Find Your Village, which helps people deal with loneliness and transition, was actually inspired by my move to Baltimore and the community that I found here. I was very, very homesick, and it was my first birthday, my first Mardi Gras, away from my culture, away from my people, away from my food that I was accustomed to. And so I was really homesick for my birthday. And my friends got together and they went through a generator thing or something, and they made a bunch of coloring sheets with the images that we had all taken together the past year that I've known them. And they wrote me like this beautiful handwritten note. Everyone signed it. And it just reminded me that sometimes you don't even realize that the village you're looking for is already waiting for you to come. And the community that I found here in Baltimore has been a very big inspiration for my work for the past year and how I plan to continuously give back and create in the future.
Come on. I need some snaps on that. You said the community that you might be looking for is already there. You just got to open up, extend yourself to do so.
Yeah, and a quick question for you. I know that you mentioned there's like a kind of like a theme of loneliness and either finding community out of that or just, using community to kind of get away from the loneliness aspect. Can you tell us what exactly was it for you about loneliness in and of itself that you wanted to kind of tackle for others and maybe for yourself?
Yeah. So in our coloring books, they're not just coloring books. There are affirmations, there's educational pieces of it, there's workbooks. Even in the current curriculum pilot that we actually have, I actually wrote a social emotional learning curriculum for 6 out of the 12 books that's currently being tested in schools and youth programming across the country. And with that particular book, which is included in that pilot, a big piece that I wanted to tackle was the patience of it. And I think that especially when you're in your youth, that particular book was specifically designed for college freshmen, foster care kids, or like people who are just going through like major life transitions, like moving or something like that. And so what I was really hoping to capture in that book with the context was to be able to provide comfort and community in the waiting period, in that in between when you're still figuring stuff out. And it's also the only book that doesn't solely feature people of color, because I felt like for me in that moment, that book needed to be surrounding all of the people that I had met in Baltimore and all of the ways that I have found love and community, and especially leaning into your community may not look like you. They may look like you. They may come from the same backgrounds as you. They may not. But all of that comes together to be the people that are meant to be in your circle will find you. Sometimes we just need a little comfort in the in-between.
Definitely hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, younger than us. So I don't want to say ages. We don't talk about that. But the knowledge, like the experience and like the thoughtfulness you have is just coming through so clearly. What are some of the things that you can provide to people? Like some of the learnings that you've experienced, knowledge that you feel like once I got a feeling of this, it's not going anywhere.
I think I've had a mentor in college, and he's still my mentor, and I bother him all the time. But he always encouraged me to never tell people what I'm offering, but listen to what people are asking me. And like even now, like I always said I was never going to do programs. I was never going to do this as a service. But then I've seen how many doors that's opened for my company. But more importantly, how many more opportunities it's given my work to reach the kids that it needs to reach. And I think it's also the level of intentionality that goes into not only the design of the work, but how we continuously build community. For example, we'll work with a partner maybe like once or twice, and they'll do something wholesale from us. But if we see a grant opportunity that we know that they're perfect for, we'll send it to them. Or if we notice that 2 of our partners are working on the same thing, we'll bring them together to collaborate. Like it's about the intentionality of building a community. One of the things that I've really focused on with this company, and I've had a mentor, and she kept asking me, what type of company do I want to build? Do I want to build a $50 million a year company with like 1,000 employees? Or do I want to build a $20 million a year company that's very intentional about the work that we do? Like, what do I want to really achieve? And I think that the answer that I've landed on is I want to build something that's sustainable, scalable, and something that cares about all of our stakeholders, including our customers, our partners, our volunteers, our board, whoever it is, feels deeply cared for and cherished through our work.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for the smiles you put on people's faces. Someone that put a smile on all of our faces, someone that was focused on building an ecosystem is the late Pava Lapierre, Pava Marie P. Everyone had a different nickname because she made connections with everyone. If you can, again, a year plus now from our untimely demise, how are you processing and coping, or what's a great story you can tell, the viewers to get to know Pava a little better?
Well, coping, obviously I feel a lot differently than I felt around this time last year. Her dad at one of her memorial services said that her favorite angel number was 1111. And so I've taken a dedication to remember her every day. And so I actually have a gold and silver 1111 ring that I wear every single day. And it's just like a small piece that I remember her by. Or every time I see 1111 on the clock or on the phone, I always take the time to like say a little prayer or say a little wish, just in like, we always have the opportunity to just take a small time in remembrance. I also refuse to eat at any other Thai place other than her favorite Thai place. And that's also like a dedication. It's just like, I only eat there. And then I think a favorite story, and I was going to tell you the cute story, but I'm going to tell you the story that made me almost stop being friends with her. So I live in an apartment building, and going up to the roof of my apartment is a strange door that just like sits like 4 feet off the ground with no way to access it. And she, after coming back from a concert, maybe had one too many, she tried to climb inside of the door. And I am screaming and hollering and being like, you are going to get possessed by something. There's got to be a ghost in there. And so I'm like barreling down the stairs, hitting the elevator button, ready for her to follow me. And she just doesn't follow me. And I'm like, man, I gotta go save her. This ghost done got her. And then I just peek, I just come around the corner and I was like, Pava, are you okay? And she looks down and she just cocks her head at me. And I was like, Papa, if you were possessed, I swear I'm leaving you here right now. And then we had a great rest of the night. She was not possessed, but every time I walk past that door, I get mad all over again.
And you're talking about like the first floor, right? She was just, get up on the second floor. She was just playing around.
No, I mean, like, we're at like the 10th, 11th floor, like, of my building, trying to like walk up the stairs. And I'm like literally trying to drag her past the door so she doesn't try to open it again. And I'm like, Papa, please, I can't do this. And I was like, what was in there? She was like, it was just a boiler room. And I was like, that's not the point. There could have been bad things in there. But yes, that's my favorite Papa story. And I'm still mad about it to this day.
No matter like what the activity, the environment was, she was exploratory. She's going to say what's on her mind. She's going to do what she wants. And she's going to make sure that you know why, like what's her reasoning. She's never been the type to like hold her cards behind her hand. She's going to tell you exactly what she's thinking.
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it.
Yeah. She's one of the most unapologetic people I've ever met, but also simultaneously still managed to be one of the kindest people I've ever met. It's a very interesting balance.
Well, last question. This has been great. When you think deeply about where you were when you went to Xavier and going through Venture for America. If you had a chance to start over, fresh out of college, grad, what would you do differently?
Not a single thing. I think I'm a full believer that everything happens for a reason, and my life played out exactly as it needed to. Right out of college, I ended up doing an internship where I met someone who was a current Venture for America fellow, which told me about the fellowship. I ended up spending a year working in the ecosystem building space as a program manager in New Orleans, which gave me enough experience to be able to apply to work at Upsurge. And then working at Upsurge allowed me to build an incredible network of people that are diehard fans of me and my work and like genuinely care about me as a person. And I would not be where I am without my life unfolding exactly as it has.
Couldn't be said any better. Alairé, any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask because you said you wouldn't do anything different, but I believe Venture for America did shut down. So
it did.
How would you navigate this newfound environment without Venture for America, knowing what you know now?
I have no idea because I think about it all the time that I ended up coming to Baltimore. I never considered living in Baltimore. Baltimore and New Orleans just felt like so vastly different places, and they're actually very similar. And I would never have ended up in Baltimore if I wasn't like with the person I was with at that time. And I've never been so grateful to have chosen a city in my life. And I feel sad for the lost opportunity that Venture for America disbanding means. But I can say that the community that we have as alumni and as current fellows is very strong. And we're working to make sure that we're creating opportunities for new Venture for America fellows every day. But VFA, if nothing, gave me the gift of knowing that I'm capable of achieving something by starting completely fresh. Like I have gained the most intimate and authentic community I've ever had because of the different VFA fellows. I've propelled my career beyond my greatest dreams because of the connection with Upsurge and VFA has given me. So yeah, I don't know where I would be without VFA, quite honestly. Okay. Quite honestly, I literally think like they have created the foundation for my current life.
Okay, and speaking about your current life, we'd love to, kind of progress into our second segment. So I'm going to stop you there. Appreciate everything that you've said so far. Thank you. This has been a great episode of Why Y'all Working. Thank you, Naomi. It's just been amazing to hear about your story from, coming from a place that's not really like Baltimore, because obviously New Orleans and Baltimore, we're not in the same coast, we don't eat the same food,
It's cold here. It's cold.
Exactly. It's colder here. We got humidity. We don't know what day is going to be warm or cold. Sometimes it's both, all the above in one day. So yeah, I definitely think that it's been a great episode for us to this time. And Michael, do you have anything to say to take us out?
No, salute.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
All right, cool.